I'm at the federal courthouse in Los Angeles, and I just finished a sentencing hearing on my $5 million PPP loan fraud case. We had one of the toughest judges in the Central District of California, and it was interesting. When he came out, he said he wasn't sure about what he was going to do, and he really wanted to hear from my client. That was going to be the most important thing. There were some very significant mitigating factors in this case. I think I've spoken about this in a previous video, but the most significant factor was that the government was able to recover all of the money. It was a $5 million loan fraud case, which is a lot of money, and the judge was not happy about that. However, he made extraordinary efforts to get the money back to the government. And while I argued that, it wasn't until the U.S. attorney stood up and he said that my client had made extraordinary efforts to return the money, more so than he had seen in his 8 years as a U.S. attorney. So the judge was very impressed by that, and he said that that affected him more than anything my client said or anything that I said. He said to me, "You're an advocate for your client, so I take everything you say with a grain of salt," which was kind of shocking. He also did not read my client's narrative. I think that the narrative is the most important part of my sentencing position paper because it's my client's opportunity to express remorse to the court. And the judge said that he didn't read it because there are boilerplate letters coming out of the Metropolitan Detention Center in LA. They're all the same, and so he didn't read it. I impressed upon my client how important it was for him to write his narrative, tell his life story, and tell the judge how remorseful he was for his conduct, tell him about his future plans, and I tell all of my clients this with federal cases. The judge apparently didn't even read the letter. Luckily, the probation officer did cut and paste a lot of the letter into her pre-sentence report. So again, another reason why it's really important to give the probation officer the client's narrative, their letter of remorse, prior to the pre-sentence interview, so that the pre-sentence report contains the client's own words. And that is what happened here. So luckily, at least she was able to include that information into the PSR, or the pre-sentence report. In any event, there were many mitigating factors in this case. My client is getting deported. My client has suffered from a psychotic episode. The judge was more impressed with the fact that my client had taken $5 million during this difficult time in our history, which is serious. I can't say it isn't, and I acknowledge that to the court, and my client acknowledged that to the court. But there were significant mitigating factors. So at the end of the day, the government was recommending 57 months. The probation officer was recommending 48 months. I asked for 38 months. The last time I had a sentencing in front of this judge, the probation officer was recommending 70 months. The government was recommending 78 months, and the judge gave him 109 months. So I was not expecting anything to go well today, but he did in fact give my client 48 months. He's been in custody in Santa Ana for approximately 7 months, which means he will probably do about another 3 years. Unfortunately, because he's being deported, he's not eligible for the year off of his sentence for doing the drug treatment program. He is not eligible for halfway house, and he will be in immigration custody for about 45 days at the end of his sentence, really lengthening his sentence about 2 years. So essentially, the judge took, 9 months off of the guidelines range, but he came out really very angry about the fact that it was a lot of money at a very bad time. And so honestly, with this particular judge, we're lucky that we got 48 months. My client spoke eloquently, he spoke beautifully, he discussed how, what a terrible mistake he had made. And I wished him all the best. I will never see him again. It's really sad, but I told him to keep in touch, and hopefully he will. I put my business card in his front pocket in his little jail uniform, and wished him all the best. So that's it for today.